anyway, I don't have any problem. Since I was coming out in the world to say that Bob Marley is my father, I don't have to.
How much do we truly know about the man whose music carried the spirit of Jamaica across the world? Bob Marley sang about hope, struggle, and unity. But his life away from the microphone was marked by controversies shaped by the people and relationships around him. His journey was marked by deep ties, complicated bonds, and choices that helped form the legacy we remember today. Now, 4 decades after his passing, a man has stepped forward, claiming to be Marley's son and having kept silent for years. The truth is no longer hidden, and the DNA results have opened a new chapter in the Marley story. However, do you know that Marley legally fathered 12 children, though he was married to only 1 wife? Who are these women, legally recognized children, and his secret son who has just emerged? Keep watching, as there is more in this story than you can ever imagine. Bob Marley relationships and children. Rita Marley is the first and only wife of Bob Marley. Even though Bob spent his life with many women, Rita is the only woman he married legally. Rita and Bob raised 5 children together. Their names are Sharon, Cedella, Ziggy, Stephen, and Stephanie. Sharon, the oldest, was conceived with a man whose name was not recorded when Rita was 17 years old. Bob entered Sharon's life when she was 8 months old and later adopted her. Many people have said that Sharon was the one he felt closest to.
How big is your family?
Well, my family is really a big family.
Cedella Marley, the first child Rita and Bob conceived together, was born in Kingston in August of 1967. The Wailers marked her arrival by releasing the song Nice Time, and the name stayed with her as a reminder of that moment. She went to public schools and grew up in a place filled with music. She later helped form the Melody Makers. Her work as a songwriter, singer, and dancer grew as the group continued to perform. Cedella learned to manage the band's work alongside her duties as head of Tough Gong International, the record label her father founded in the early 1970s, while also caring for her family. David, known to many as Ziggy, is the second child of Rita and Bob. He was born on October 17, 1968, in Trenchtown at a time when the pro-African movement was rising. As a young boy, he listened to many artists, and he remembers being drawn to Stevie Wonder. His face bears a close resemblance to Bob's, with a sharp chin, high cheekbones, and dark eyes that hold steady focus. He has spoken about critical moments, such as watching his father perform in Zimbabwe and receiving his father's Order of Merit, which is one of the highest awards in Jamaica. People often see him as the head of the Melody Makers, but Ziggy has said that the name belongs to the group, and that each member has a place that matters. The 4th child, Stephen, was born on April 20th, 1972, in Wilmington, Delaware, when Rita was staying with Bob's mother. Stephen became the 4th member of the Melody Makers. His contributions to the group included singing, DJing, writing, and producing music. He was only 6 years old when the group released its first song. He once said they had been making music together since they were born, and that their first track was Children Playing in the Streets, produced by their father. Stephen later created the record label Ghetto Youths United. In the late 1990s, he spent much of his time remixing his father's songs with artists such as Erykah Badu, Lost Boys, and Lauryn Hill. His work with Lauryn Hill led the Melody Makers to join the Fugees on stage for No Woman, No Cry at the 1997 Grammy Awards in New York City. Stephanie Marley may be the 5th child of Rita and Bob. Some sources differ, but Timothy White wrote that Cedella Booker said the girl was not fathered by her son. She said that a man named Ital was the father. No matter what the whole story may be, Stephanie has been accepted as Bob's child and has received a share of his estate. Bob was not a man who kept himself to one woman, so he had affairs with other women. The woman most often linked to Bob, aside from Rita or his mother, Cedella, is Cindy Breakspeare. She worked as a clerk at the Sheraton Kingston and danced at the Dizzy Disco. Cindy first met Bob when they were both living in Chris Blackwell's house at number 56 Hope Road in the early 1970s, when Cindy was still a teenager. They lived in different rooms in different parts of the house. Don Taylor said Bob tried many times to get Cindy's attention, but she did not respond until he became well known and became the owner of the house. When she first met him, Cindy thought that getting involved with him would change her life forever. Many people say the song Waiting on Vain was about Bob waiting for Cindy to accept him. Cindy came from an upper class and well-educated home. At first, she was unsure about dating a Rasta, but a relationship slowly grew. and she said it taught her a great deal about being a woman. She did not know at the beginning that Bob was married. Cedella Booker was the one who told her about Rita, but by then, Cindy was already carrying Bob's child. On Friday, November 19, 1976, Cindy won the Miss World title after being Miss Jamaica Bikini and Miss Universe Bikini. Bob helped pay for her campaign. Soon after her win, Bob was shot. The following year, Bob spent much of his time away from Jamaica with Cindy. Cindy knew that Bob worried about jealous women, so she chose not to demand too much from him. She said he always treated her with respect because she spoke honestly about every matter they discussed. She also noted that Bob liked women who kept a natural look without makeup or perfume, and because of this, he urged her not to use makeup, razors, or nail polish. However, Cindy was the only woman Bob loved because she was the only one he chased. He said she received more respect from Bob than any other woman. Bob bought her a house in the Cherry Gardens area of Kingston and gave her $100,000 in startup money for her Italcraft store. Their relationship lasted until Bob's demise, though in the final years it became more like a friendship. One child was born to Cindy and Bob. Damien was born on July 21, 1976 in Jamaica. He is called Junior Gong. One of Bob's last requests was for the boy's name to be changed because a movie had linked the name to the devil, which Bob felt was not suitable for a Rasta. The name, however, remained. Like his siblings, Damien also became a musician. At 13 years old, he formed a band called The Shepherds, which performed around Jamaica and also appeared at Reggae Bash 1992 and Sunsplash 1992 for the Bob Marley tribute. Despite being the most famous woman in his life, Bob remained discontent and continued having affairs with other women, including Janet. Janet Dunn, sometimes called Janet Hunt, was a dancer in a club when she met Bob Marley sometime in the 1970s. Very little is written about where she came from or how she and Bob first met. There is even confusion about her name. Timothy White, in Catch a Fire, wrote that Janet Hunt gave birth to Rohan Marley, while the Whaler family tree lists his mother as Janet Dunn. Rohan was born in May 1972. When he was 4 years old, Bob brought him to live with Rita because his mother was not giving him proper care. From that time on, Rohan stayed with the Marley family. He went to the same school as Ziggy and Steven, but unlike them, he was rowdy and hard to control, and he was later sent to live with Cedella Booker in Miami. Cedella later adopted him. Rohan went on to become a starting linebacker on the University of Miami Hurricane football team. In the 1990s, he was charged with trying to run over a Miami police officer with his pickup truck. In 1970, Bob began a relationship with a woman from Trenchtown named Pat, though some sources call her Lucille Williams. She came to know Bob through her visits to number 56 Hope Road. One night, she met Bob outside, and there in the yard, she approached him and seduced him. Bob was moved by the moment and wrote the lyrics to Midnight Ravers the next morning in a Kingston telephone book. Their meeting resulted in a son named Robbie, born in 1972. Robbie later came under Rita's care. He attended the University College of the West Indies. Another woman, Janet Bowen, is known only in a limited capacity. Many sources do not list a last name and refer to her only as Janet in England. She gave birth to Bob's daughter Karen in 1973 in England. Karen grew up in Jamaica with her great-grandmother in Harbor View, St. Andrew, where she went to school. She became a regular visitor to the Marley family, though at first she feared Bob. When Bob became ill, he asked Rita to look after Karen and place her in the same school as Stephanie. A woman named Lucy Pounder lived in Barbados and gave birth to Julian Marley on June 4, 1975. She raised him in London and often brought him to visit Rita and Bob in Jamaica and Miami. Julian recorded his first song when he was 5 years old and later became a bassist, drummer, and keyboard player. He released his first album, Uprising, in 1989. After moving to Jamaica in 1992, he released Lion in the Morning, which was partly produced by Steven and assisted by Rohan, Kaimani, and the Melody Makers. Julian toured in Japan, Brazil, and Mexico. In 1996, he appeared in the Marley Magic Tour in North America. In 1977, Anita Belnavis, the Caribbean table tennis champion, gave birth to Bob's son, Kaimani Marley. Very little is known about her. Kaimani spent summers with his father and with Rita, who acted as a second mother to him, and he moved to Jamaica in 1992. Yvette Crichton is the last woman known to have had a child with Bob. Their daughter, Makeda Janesta Marley, was born in 1981. By 1992, Makeda visited Rita's house often and later became a beneficiary of the Marley estate. Bob Marley's secret son emerges. Othniel Stanford was born on July 27, 1968. His birthplace was a small wooden house set in the green hills of rural Jamaica. The roof leaked whenever it rained, and the floor was made of packed dirt hardened by years of footsteps. Life in that place was not easy for anyone. His mother, Rafi Monroe, rose from her bed before the sun each morning. She cleaned floors in large houses owned by richer people in the nearby town. When that work ended, she set up a little stall in the market. There she sold mangoes, bananas, and any fruit she could gather or buy at a low price. Her hands were always rough from the long hours, but she still kept a gentle smile for her young son. As a little boy, Othniel spent many hours sitting beside the old radio in the corner of the house. It was worn down, with knobs that stuck when he tried to turn them. But at night, when the signal came through clearly, he tuned it to the reggae stations. The rhythm filled the room like a warm cover. The voice that held him the most was Bob Marley's. When Bob sang "No Woman, No Cry," Othniel felt something deep inside him move, as if the song knew him. The sound of Redemption's song made him think of a future beyond the hills where he grew up. He often hummed along, picturing himself on a stage beside Bob with people cheering. Time passed, and Othniel became taller. He left school early to help his family. He worked in fields picking crops and helped repair bicycles when people needed them. Music stayed close to him through all of this. He saved small coins until he could buy a cheap guitar from a market vendor. At night, he played it softly, forming his own little tunes. Soon, he wanted more than that. He wished to become a singer and let the world hear his voice. But when he looked at the name Othniel Stanford, it felt plain to him. He thought no one would remember it, and no one would pay to watch a man with such an ordinary name. One evening in 2008, everything shifted. Othniel was in his 20s then, living in a small room in Kingston. He sat on a porch with a group of friends. They passed a spliff from hand to hand and talked about what they hoped for in life. One friend wished to open a store. Another hoped to move to America. When Othniel spoke, he said he wanted to sing reggae like Bob Marley, but he felt that his name would not help him. He believed no one would notice him. His friends teased him at first. They laughed at the idea that he could follow the path of a man like Bob. Othniel leaned closer and spoke with calm seriousness. He said that if he changed his name to Fabian Marley, things would shift in a new way. He told the Marley name would open doors. He believed people would come to see him because of that name, wanting to know if he was part of the same family. The friends laughed again, but now there was a kind of excitement in their voices. Fabian was a name he chose because it sounded fresh and strong to him, like a name meant to lead the way. Marley was the name he said ran in his blood, whether through stories his mother shared or through the deep wish he carried inside himself. From that night forward, he called himself Fabian Marley. He used the name on stage. He printed flyers with the new name written across them. He told club owners that booking Fabian Marley would bring people to the shows. With that choice, a path began to unfold before him. It tied him to a famous name, even if only by words at first. This decision shaped his whole life and set him on a road filled with turns he never expected. How? The name helped his music career. The name Fabian Marley worked like a key that opened doors that had been closed before. It did not take long for changes to appear. In Jamaica, where reggae holds a strong influence, club promoters became alert the moment they heard the name Marley. They believed something significant could happen if they booked him. They placed him on small stages in smoky bars around Kingston. People came not only for the music, but also out of curiosity. Some whispered that he might be Bob's son. Some pointed at his face and nodded, saying his cheekbones looked like Bob's and that his smile had a familiar shape. Even the way he held the microphone reminded some people of the man they admired. Record shops noticed what was happening. They placed Fabian's homemade CDs beside Bob Marley's albums. People who browsed the shelves often picked them up, thinking there could be a link. Radio DJs played his songs late at night. They told listeners to pay attention to the sound in his voice, saying it seemed to come from the same family line. Fabian's songs were simple reggae pieces with words about love and hardship. The name helped them stand out. Without that name, they might have stayed unnoticed. A significant moment came in 2010. Fabian received a call inviting him to open for Kai Manai Marley, one of Bob's sons. Kai Mani was touring, and promoters wanted an act that would draw even more interest. When the announcer called out Fabian's name on stage, the crowd responded loudly. People raised their phones and recorded him. Videos appeared on YouTube that same night and spread quickly. By the next morning, Fabian had thousands of new followers online. Many messages appeared, with people saying he sounded like his father. He did not correct them. In interviews, he kept his answers calm, saying that time would reveal everything and that people should listen to the music and feel what it carried. The uncertainty surrounding him kept people watching. Sponsors began to reach out. Small businesses gave him t-shirts, hats, and time in studios. They wanted their products close to the Marley name. They asked him to wear their items, promising support in return. This helped his career move forward. By the year 2015, he had released 3 albums, including Roots and Truth and Jamaican Heart. They did not match the numbers Bob's album Legend reached, but they changed Fabian's daily life. He bought a modest house with a yard and a used car he could drive to his shows. He no longer needed to walk long distances or depend on others for rides. Each year on February 6th, the day of Bob's birth, attention returned to him. Newspapers published stories asking if he was the lost son. Blogs compared his voice and features to Bob's. Fans argued on the internet. The name lifted him from a life of struggle and placed him in a brighter space. At the same time, it created a delicate situation. Fabian understood that proof was necessary. His rise was real, yet doubts were around him. All of this led directly to the DNA matter that followed, shaping his future in ways he had not prepared for.
The DNA test result.
As Bob Marley's 80th birthday moved closer in the year 2025, Fabian felt a weight settle on him. For many years, he moved forward with the help of the name, but the questions never faded. People asked the same thing again and again. He decided to bring it to an end. Early in 2025, he reached out to a well-known DNA center in the United States. The price was high, but he had saved enough. He rubbed the inside of his cheek with the swab and sent it off. After that, he contacted the Marley family office and asked for Bob's DNA from old files. They refused at first, saying there was no reason for it. The noise from fans and journalists grew louder until it spread across social media. A judge in Jamaica stepped in and ordered that the test proceed. The waiting days felt long. Fabian walked around his room, thinking about what the paper might say. He told his friends that this would end the doubt. When the envelope finally reached him in May of the year 2025, he chose to open it live on video for his followers to watch. The camera recorded everything as he pulled at the seal. His hands shook. The sheet inside was plain with simple black letters. It stated that the chance of Bob Marley being his father was 0.00%. It also noted that the opportunity of Othniel Stanford Sr., who worked as a truck driver, being his father was 99.99%. At the bottom, a line explained that there were no shared genetic signs linking him to the Marley Nesta family. Fabian's face lost all color. He kept looking at the lines before squeezing the paper in his hand. Tears ran down his face as he shouted that it could not be true. He cried out that someone must have paid the center and that the whole thing was arranged. The video ended, but not before many people around the world saw his pain. It spread across different platforms within hours. The moment broke the belief he had carried for so long. The test did more than remove the link. It revealed the truth he had pushed aside. It tied back to when he changed his name, showing how far the hope had taken him and how hard the return to reality became, how the world reacted. The news moved through the internet with sudden force. Within minutes of Fabian's video, the online space was filled with comments. Tags calling him a false Marley and tags about the DNA matter rose fast. Some people felt deep sympathy and wrote that he had lived with that belief all his life and should be allowed some peace. Support came from people who knew what it felt like to follow a hope that shaped many years. Others sent kind words, saying they still cared for his music. Anger rose at the same time. Dedicated supporters of Bob Marley felt deeply let down. They wrote that Fabian used the name of a great man to earn money, and they called it disrespectful. Online discussions grew long and heated. Jamaican radio stations removed his songs from their lists within the same week. One presenter said on air that they could not play a person they now believed was pretending. Club owners called to cancel planned shows and explained that people would no longer attend. Companies that once supported him removed their names from his pages and adverts. In the city of Manchester in England, where he had moved years earlier for a new beginning, life changed quickly. Neighbors who once stopped him for pictures now stepped aside. Quiet talk followed him in shops. His daughter, still in school, faced hard words from other children who asked if her father was a liar. This hurt him deeply. Messages filled his inbox, many carrying anger and mockery. He closed his social page for 2 weeks to escape the noise. Even with all this, some people stayed with him. They said the test was not actual and claimed that strong people could influence places that handled such samples. They said his voice carried the spirit of Bob Marley. Stories grew about changed samples and hidden payments. Small reggae stations in places like Ghana and Trinidad continued to play his old songs. One presenter said that music did not need proof on paper. These minor signs of support helped him hold on during the confusion. The divided reaction around the world matched the conflict inside him, linking the loud reactions to the gentle words that soon came from his parents. Raffi Monroe, in her 70s, lived quietly in St. Elizabeth in Jamaica. She spent her days tending her small garden and speaking with longtime friends. When reporters went to her in July of the year 2025. After the DNA news, she sat on her steps and slowly shook her head. She said she never knew Bob Marley in any close way, and that her son came from her life with Othniel Stanford. She said she had told Fabian many times, but he wanted a story larger than the simple one they had lived. Tears gathered as she asked to be left alone before going inside. Othniel Stanford, a senior who raised Fabian, felt deep sorrow as well. He still lived in the same quiet area and had retired from truck driving. He spoke only once to a small local paper. He sat on his veranda with a cup of tea, looking tired. He said he cared for the boy from infancy, worked extra shifts to buy school books, and taught him to drive his old truck. He said it hurt that the world was now questioning whether he was the father. He then said that the truth on the paper matched what he always knew, and that he remained the father. After that, he asked for no more visits. Their words reached Fabian deeply. His mother's denial and his father's pain added to everything he felt. The days that followed carried this weight as he stayed out of sight and tried to face the truth on his own. For 1 whole month after the results, Fabian did not go out or speak online. Friends checked on him in his small flat in Manchester and found him sitting in the dark with smoke around him. He played Bob Marley albums without pause. The songs ran one after another, filling the room. He ate very little and lost weight until his clothes no longer fit well. His eyes, once bright, now looked empty. The nights were the hardest. He slept little, and when he did, he saw crowds cheering that suddenly changed to crowds turning away. He questioned everything, from the choice of the name to each step of his journey. He whispered words to the empty room, trying to make sense of it. In September of 2025, a silence inside him seemed to lift. He posted a new video. His face looked thinner and worn, but his voice was steady. He said that the test showed one thing, but his heart held another. He revealed Bob's music had guided him like a father, and that the feeling remained. He said he would keep his stage name because that was what people knew him by. That same week, he released a song titled Bloodline, which spoke about roots and who a person is. Some platforms blocked it due to legal concerns, but others let it play, and people listened out of curiosity. This return joined his earlier dream with a quieter present, linking the past to the small steps he was taking now. As the year 2025 drew to its end, Fabian continued to live in England. He performed in small rooms and community spaces, drawing crowds of loyal listeners. Posters now described him as a reggae artist because the Marley estate had warned him not to use the full name freely. He earned enough to meet his needs, but lived far from the busy days he once knew. He sometimes guided younger musicians and shared lessons from his own journey. He told them to choose their own names and build their own path, not follow the shadows of others. His voice carried sadness, but he looked calmer and more aware. The man who changed his name in search of a bigger life had learned that doors could close without warning. Yet in quiet moments, when he sang Bob Marley songs under the water, he still held a small piece of the dream. Music did not ask for proof, it only asked for feelings. His future might hold more small shows, more songs, and some measure of peace. Or something new might come. Time, as he once said, would tell. In 2018, Bob Marley was the 5th top-earning dead celebrity, according to Forbes. His estate, now named House of Marley, is managed by 4 of his children: Rohan Marley, the brand officer of the estate, Sadella, Stephen, and Ziggy, while the rest sit on a board and share the proceeds evenly. Do you think Fabian Marley is one of his sons because he refused to change his name? Let's hear from you in the comments. Thank you for watching. Kindly click the next video on your screen.